So, I have a new hobby. It's not really a new hobby. It's actually an old hobby, but someone told me that I should film it and make a short video. So, we're trying that today. So, quarantine breeds boredom, and I have been bored enough that I have been talking to Catfish. Catfish, possibly scammers. I don't know because they haven't tried the actual scam yet. Um, and I don't know if I'm the only woman. I'm sure there's lots of women out there that get these kind of messages. It's a random display that pops up in your message requests, and then it's someone like, oh, you're beautiful. I'm falling in love with you. And they lead to some ridiculous nonsense about how they're actually from the United States and their profession is a different thing. So I'm gonna expose or at least talk about one of those interactions today. Now, when I say I catch a catfish, I am not a catfish. These are messages I receive on my real life actual profile. I'm a part of a lot of different groups on Facebook, as most people are, and they tend to be a breeding ground for these combination of people who are catfish, scammers, whatever. And if you watch any of my videos, you know how big of a fan I am of scambaiting. So this is the current involvement. So this particular conversation has been going on for about a week. We're at the end of it because I called him out on a simple mistake that if you knew what you were talking about, you just wouldn't make. And I'll explain why in just a minute. Because I hate people that lie. Lying is something I absolutely cannot stand. But the only thing worse than lying is one, being a bad liar, but two, impersonating someone in the military. I am a very big supporter of our troops and the people who are out there serving. I grew up in a pro-military family. I have family members who are currently in the military, and it leads to great conversation because I'll be like, so this dude totally said this, what do you think? And then I'll get a response and we'll laugh about it. So I can't stand it when people lie about the military. But if you're gonna lie, at least do it well. Or not, because it's highly entertaining when you don't. So anyway, I'm going to show you, I don't know the legalities of this. I'm going to show his profile picture. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I don't know if this is a real person there is a real person on the other end of this conversation. But what I don't know is if this person is aware that their photograph is being used for illicit means. So this is the current person that we're talking to. If you are watching this and you know who this person is, the real person behind this, please contact them and let them know that their photographs are being used by scammers. So anyway, that's his photo. Now, anytime someone new messages me, there's a couple of things that I do. I usually ask them, where do you know me from? Why are you messaging me? What do you want? And then I will go to their profile and I'll check a couple of things. Where do they work? Where do they live? Does it match the things they told me? Now, this particular profile is a little different than the others because there's tons of photos of the image that I just showed you. When I say tons of photos, I mean like more than 5. One clue that this is not the person who they say they are. All the photos were added within a 3-day period. Yeah, like 3 cover photos, they were all added on the 26th, the 27th, the 28th at the same time in the morning. And, yeah, it's like 27th, the 26th, the 25th, the 27th, the 26th, like all of these were all added within the same 3-day period. And that's a big clue. Now, my profile is private, so there's only so many things that you can see on mine. So that's not really that big of a concern that I can't see his friends. I can't see all of his photos, but all of his photos were added within the same 3-day period. And they're all very generic. They don't look like actual real selfies. However, at least he chose a name that matches the name in the photograph. Oh, and also none of his photos have like a comment. None of them have comments. None of them have captions. None of them have hey, was feeling cute today. Like the real things that we see with real people on Facebook. I'm sorry, I'm saying a lot. Anyway, so that's the first thing. One of the first things that I do is I go and check. And then we read. Now, something else, having been a catfisher. Is that what you're called? A catfisher? A person that, I don't want to say scam baiter because I'm not going out there purposely bringing in their message. I mean, I've gone fishing before. Well, I'll go and post in the groups that I know lead to these scammers because it's highly entertaining for me. I'm scrolling through the messages. So then when they contact you, big clue, people, especially people who say, there are things that we say in the United States, it doesn't matter which part of the country you're from, that if you say it a lot, it becomes strange. For example, the initial conversation, hello dear. That's not completely odd, but it's not how we interact with each other typically in the US. And then I was bored. Now, they have a script, and I say this because I've talked to enough of these random messaging people that they say the same thing or something very similar. This particular message I've received 3 times in the last 2 weeks from various different profiles. You got a cute name. There's nothing about my name that's cute. My real name or my Facebook name. My Facebook name is cuter than my real name because it's a combination of my first and middle names. But my name's not cute, but whatever. The world is wonderfully made. It's nice to know about your weather condition over there and where are you from. Same exact copy and paste message. I've received it 3 different times from different profiles. That actually didn't, this was the first time I received that message, so it wasn't that interesting. And I gave him the real information. I'm from the United States. I live in Brazil. Thank you for the compliment. Another copy and paste, especially because I got a different contact today that same words, exact same words. I seek for friendship with you, which was why I wrote you. A fluent English speaker or a native English speaker, and in particular Americans, we don't speak like that. It's odd. So anyway, then we get into the stuff that starts to irritate me because without prompting, they start to tell me about how, wow, this is an exact, the next episode, I'll read another one. You'll be like, didn't we just hear this? Yeah. Over here is a war zone and we lost lives every day. The ISIS and the Talibans. I'm reading his messages, by the way, are very heartless people. We are fighting for the peacekeeping and also the independence of the Afghanistan people. It's not how you would refer to that. And then I asked him, because up until this point he hadn't said what he was doing. I'm like, oh, are you from Afghanistan? No, I'm U.S. citizen. From where? And then this is where we start getting into the military thing. He told me he currently lives in Afghanistan, where I was assigned for my duty and will finish my assignment and return back home to my country. And this particular one is from Texas. And then I'm like, okay, well, what's your duty? I'm always interested. The first thing I always ask is, what is your rank? And the reason I do that is because you get some really comical answers. And there's a couple of things that question will lead into a couple of things. What's your rank? Well, then I will then ask them, what is their pay grade? I'll ask them what it looks like. How long have you been in the service? Which branch of the service are you in? And those questions are a little harder to answer if you have no military experience. Honestly, a simple Google will answer these questions. So he is a sergeant in the military. And then I ask him which branch, and then he says he's in the Army, but currently working for a peacekeeping mission for the United Nations. That's what they all say. They're all in Kabul, Afghanistan, and they all are working for the United Nations on a peacekeeping mission. I don't know why that's the script that they're using. It's not believable for a couple of reasons. It's very common, and I won't say all the time, but it's normally common that you don't tell strangers where you're deployed if you're actually deployed. That's, something else. Then they always ask, are you married? Do you have kids? Oh, he called me poor as a teacher. What do you do for a living to overcome economical expenses and to sustain your family? Oh, and then he asked me what my salary was, and I'm like, why? And he's like, the work seemed poor to me, I don't know why. Um, and I said, it's an inappropriate question because we don't ask that. And then he called me dear again. I think that's the third time that he's done it. And I said, it's regardless of the amount. It's in the U.S. We consider it rude to ask someone, typically their age, their weight, their salary. Those are things that are considered rude. It's considering that early in the conversation. It was a weird question. And then for a soldier to call me poor is strange. And if you're in the military, you understand what I'm talking about. Our salaries are probably very comparable. Oh, and then he's on to telling me how beautiful and attractive I am. The stress. I hope your profession doesn't stress you. And then it's just a bland conversation. Yes, I asked him why he was up so late. Because something else I like to do. I know the current time in Kabul, Afghanistan, because that's something that I will do. I will dig into this. I'll actually go and research everything you say just to see how full of it you are. That's how bored I get. So the first thing I did was find out what time it was. And theoretically, he was texting me at 2:30 in the morning. Now, is that abnormal? Absolutely not. That's easily explainable. Hopefully you're not actually doing your job and texting at the same time while being deployed. Because you guys have off times as well. From what I understand, I've never been deployed. I'm not in the military. Talks about the weather again in the Taliban, but God, who have always been keeping us alive. Now, autocorrect does some messed up things. I have been a victim of many an autocorrect assassination, an assault, called that, an autocorrect assault. I've also been a language teacher long enough to know that there are certain idiosyncrasies in the way we speak, that there's autocorrect missing a word, and then there's English is not your first language. And also in some cases, it's usually a direct translation. They typed it into Google Translate and are sending it to you, and you're like, Google Translate actually sucks. So anyway, I'm just kind of scrolling through. We talked for a couple of days over things that were just completely meaningless. I always tell them that I am not single. I do have a boyfriend. I'm not married, but I do have a boyfriend. That's the first thing I tell them. This is something, they get to this, I'm assuming that it's part of the script, because they all do this really gushy, emotional thing. I'm sorry, I'm not a romantic, and my romance is very special and unique. What did he say? Okay. I appreciate being a good friendship, share ideas, something great for us in the future. What do you say? And I'm like, cool. Life is special, and I like to wake up feeling excited of what the new day brings, even if that means bouncing off the planets. Very philosophical. Imagine opening your eyes each and every morning and smiling at the thought that this new day is completely different and brings new excitement, and that the person you're with feels exactly the same way. Okay, something else that happens in this next message. Am an optimist. Now, we often contract things. We often exclude things. The word I is not something that we typically omit. It's a dead giveaway, and that particular written style is usually indicative of someone from usually the lower income areas of Africa. And I say that because I've also spoken to a large majority of Nigerians and Ghanaians I think that's what they're called, who their education just isn't very high. And one of the things they do, especially if English is not their first language, is they'll omit the word I. Even in Portuguese, in the Portuguese language, it's proper. It's not improper, is what I should say, to omit the subject, we, you, he, she, and just straight up go with the verb. So it's a big clue, especially to an English teacher and to anyone who is a native English speaker, that we don't do that. Am an optimist who believes that everything happens for a good reason, and you never know what destiny has for you and someone together. I'm looking for a lady who's ready for a serious relationship that can lead to marriage, a sincere, honest, caring, understanding, and loving lady to spend the rest of my life with. I hope you find her. I think I have already found Okay, so then the next thing that they do, and I have no idea what happens after this because I've never actually done it, they push for Google Hangouts. I don't know why Google Hangouts. Like I said, I've never gone forward with this, and I haven't been able to research it. I don't actually know. The only logical thing that I can come up with is like my Google address is attached to a lot of personal information. We use it for logins. Some of us, it's like our business accounts and things like that. And you usually have a lot of your like Google usually has more of your personal information than your Facebook does. So the only thing that I can guess about the Google Hangouts is that that's why. Now, I have an idea, and someone recommended to me to create a fake, not a fake Google, an actual Google, but one that's not it's completely anonymous, just because I'm interested in seeing where this goes. And I asked him about Google Hangouts, and I said, I prefer to talk on Messenger as opposed to Google Hangouts. And he rejected that by saying, I enjoy our conversation, would like us to exchange Gmail so that I can add you to my Hangout. Due to the nature of my job, we are not allowed to cell phones, cameras, and much social medial because of the ISIS and Talibans we are fighting against here. They are doing everything possible to monitor our online activities in order to use it against us. I had to ask, but aren't you on social media now? Like, we're talking via Facebook Messenger, and Google is also online. I don't use it because it's less secure than Facebook. And I said, I guess I'm just not sure why Google is any more or less connected to social media than Messenger. And then he stopped replying. And then he's like, I'm very busy, not always online. That's not what he said. He said, it is dear, am a very busy man, not always online in this place. The site am using is working site that am always come online on Hangout so that we can get to know more about ourselves. And then I refused. And I said, no, it can be here or not. So for now, this will work. Then a couple of days were like, I just stopped talking to him. Okay, so, and then I asked him, I'm like, so what's your job? And he's like, I'm in the military. I'm like, that's, okay, that is a job, but what is your job? What is your specialty? What is your area? I mean, people in the military aren't just in the military. They have jobs. You have recruiters. You have infantry. You have weapons specialists. You have radar. You have medical assistants. And I asked him, I'm reading my responses, something about doctors. We normally don't have time for doctors. I don't know, whatever. And then I asked him, what is your job? And he said, I'm a senior officer. Remember that this man said that he was a sergeant earlier. If that doesn't mean anything to you, those two things don't usually mix. You don't refer to a sergeant as an officer. And then I gave him reason, like, so I have a family member who's this. How come you're not answering the question? Like, you're kind of avoiding it. Then he said he's on relief. Now he said he's on relief assignment and he'll be getting out of the military next month. And I said, that's really interesting. I don't even know if this is true. Like, I didn't even know you could retire while deployed. Like, I didn't know that was a thing. I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying I don't know the answer to that either way. And then I asked him why he wanted to leave the service and what are you planning to do afterward? And he's like, he just wants to be certain of what he actually wants. He's achieved almost everything he wanted except for a family, and it hurts him. He asked if I wanted a family. I'm like, no, I don't want kids. Sorry, I'm a teacher. That's all I need. And then he's like, maybe I will invest in business or start my own company. And I said, like what? And he's like, he was questioning about not wanting kids. That's a big thing. They don't like it when I say I don't want kids. Then eventually he said he didn't know what kind of business. And then I said, well, it's interesting. I said, one, I don't know very many people that choose to leave the service after having been in. Usually after the first term, it's common for people to leave, but after 2 or 3 terms, they usually stay in until retirement. So if someone wants to leave, there's nothing wrong with that. But I said I was interested as to why you wanted to leave, especially with things as bad as they are right now in the States. Why would you give up the security of a job to go and have nothing planned? Like, that was the thing. It's not even surprising to be like, I don't want to be in the service anymore. I'm going to go work in my family's factory or whatever. I'm like, so you have no plans, no job security whatsoever? I'm like, okay. Then he gave me this really long 100% copy and pasted story where he called me a man about his father, who was a lieutenant general in the U.S. Army, who is also currently in Kabul for peacekeeping. It is very painful to tell you that my father died in the military hospital last month. There's not a single period in any of this, by the way. It make me cry every day, but nothing to do about it. Only God can intervene in his case. My father was shot in a dangerous point, but he died in the hospital. I believe he is now resting in peace. After that, I was left alone. Hope you are not bored. Oh, he called me. Where is it? Like, this came within like 2 seconds. Like, we were talking and then he sent it and I'm like, oh, copy and paste. Oh, hope you are not bored. I just feel like Ben, honest and sincere with you because I saw you as a gentle man who is well honored, and I don't think I have anything to hide from you. I feel like Ben, honest and open-hearted with you. Please, oh, that was copy and paste. My life is cheerful and generous. Hope to hear from you. Warm regard. And I'm like, a man? Whatever. And then he asked me what kind of man I want, and I just ignored him. He's just completely talking here, asking about religion. And then he sent me another message, and I said, dude, you already sent me that message. And he's like, yes, but you didn't respond. And I said they were all rhetorical questions. Like, he asked, what kind of man do you want? Okay, I can answer that one. And then he's like, I can't get your picture off my mind since the first time I saw your profile. I don't really know what has happened to me. How could you touch my heart so easily like this? Guys, I've been a complete sarcastic B word to this man since we met. The feeling about you is so special. What have you done to me? And I'm like, dude, you already sent that message. So anyway, a couple of days have gone by and I was preoccupied with other things. So it was kind of just plain da-da-da. So then there was one night where it was the last night we talked. And he said that he said, am getting ready for work. No, I. And I said, okay, what time is it? He obviously Googled it because I Googled it. And his answer was 23:37. And I said, okay, what time does your shift start? And then he said 2600. Could have been a typo. Could have been a typo. So I gave him the benefit. Oh, for the record, if you're not familiar with military time, it's based on the 24-hour clock. So there wouldn't be a 2600 on a 24-hour clock. 2400 and 0000, which is what it's usually referred to, would be midnight. It would stop after 23:59. You may say 2400 hours if there's a confusion, but normally it's 0000 hours. And then you start again. So I asked him a question. I said, 2600 isn't a time. And he said, 11 a.m. Oh, so you're getting ready for work 12 hours ahead of time? And then he hasn't responded to me since then. So anyway, that's this week's Catfish. I sent him a message today and I'm about to block him and delete him and report him and all that. And I said, oh, I must have lost your interest. That's a shame. Learn to lie better. So anyway, there's that, and that is my Catfish story for the week. This turned out to be a lot longer than I thought. I thought it would be like 10 minutes. So anyway, if you're interested in this, this is fun for me. Sometimes I give them 10 seconds to entertain me, and then I'm done. This particular one, like I said, lasted for almost a week. And I've got 4 or 5 others that I'm currently talking to. So that'll be interesting. So there will be another episode, if this turns out to be something that people like to hear. So anyway, thank you for listening. Don't lie. Be honest on your profiles. And if you're going to lie, lie well. Or just don't. Don't. There's no reason for all that. Anyway, so thanks for listening, guys. I hope that you enjoy this video. Excuse me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, give it a like, thumbs up, share. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. I am not consistent with videos, but I'm trying to be better at that. It's hard to do when my work is kind of scattered. So anyway, thank you for listening. I hope you all have a wonderful night. I hope you all are being safe and healthy, and I'll see you next time.